Welcome to the Fear and Greed Business News Afternoon Report for Wednesday, the 1st of May, 2024. I'm Sean Aylmer. Every afternoon, we've got the 5 stories that happened today that you need to know about. Story number 1, the S&P ASX 200 closed down 1.2% today to 7,570 points. More than 80% of stocks ended lower, led down by energy and materials companies. Woodside, Santos and Fortescue Metals Group all fell by more than 2%. BHP was off more than 1%. Worst of the large caps was WiseTech Global. It was down 4%, in fact, more than 4%. In corporate news, Woolies said it has agreed to sell 5% of Endeavour Group, taking its shareholding down to 4.1%. Woolies spun off Endeavour 3 years ago, and boss Brad Banducci said a material equity investment in Endeavour is no longer needed. Woolies' share price was flat, which is pretty good today, while Endeavour's dropped 4%. And shopping centres owner Vicinity Centres has reaffirmed its earnings guidance as it's confident that medium and long-term fundamentals in the retail sector remain favourable. Investors weren't so sure. Its share price fell 2.3%. Story number 2, in the US, hotter than expected labour cost data sent bond yields soaring, adding to concern the Fed will be forced to keep interest rates high for much longer than expected. Tonight, the Fed board is due to meet, and while no shift in rates is expected, Chair Jerome Powell is expected to strike a more hawkish tone. That didn't help the Aussie dollar today, which fell back below 65 US cents. In Europe, Germany pushed the 20-country Eurozone to faster than expected economic growth, although market watchers still think interest rates in the region will fall in June. The Eurozone's gross domestic product expanded 0.3% in the first 3 months of 2024. Pretty anemic, but not bad for that zone. It actually contracted at the end of last year. Story number 3, the Federal Treasurer, Jim Chalmers, has announced new rules favouring overseas investors with a proven track record in an effort to attract foreign investment. There'll also be new safeguards for higher risk proposals, such as Chinese companies wanting to buy critical infrastructure and minerals. Dr. Chalmers made the announcement, a key plank of the government's Future Made in Australia Act today, and said it's needed to safeguard economic and national security. He said the reforms will make Australia a more attractive place to invest, boost economic prosperity and productivity, and strengthen the country's ability to protect the national interests in an increasingly complex economic and geostrategic environment. The rules include streamlining processes for known entities looking at non-sensitive sectors and a reduction in paperwork for repeat investors whose ownership structures haven't changed. The revamp of foreign investment rules is also aimed at alleviating the housing crisis by allowing offshore money to buy established build-to-rent properties. Story number 4, consumers can expect to pay more for their internet services after NBN Co upped its wholesale prices, which it charges retailers. The Telstras, Optus, TPGs of the world will pay 4.1% more from July 1, and it's a pretty good bet that the increase will eventually filter down to consumers. NBN Co, which is of course owned by the Australian government, said it's been impacted by higher input costs of materials from suppliers, and the increase is in line with the annual growth in the Consumer Price Index. Around 120 internet retailers package and sell NBN services. And story number 5, New York City police officers pushed onto Columbia University's campus, breaking up an escalating protest and arresting pro-Palestinian demonstrators who had barricaded themselves in a building. It wasn't a scene you'd expect at an Ivy League school in the US. Now, live television broadcasts show officers entering Hamilton Hall, the latest focal point of the protest, which had been occupied by demonstrators. Dozens of people have been detained and loaded into buses, CNN reported. The police action caps 2 weeks of rising tensions at Columbia, punctuated by more than 100 arrests on April 18 and subsequent protests that culminated with the takeover of Hamilton Hall, according to Bloomberg. The activists have condemned the Israeli military campaign in Gaza that the Hamas-run health ministry says has left more than 34,000 people dead. That's it for the afternoon report for Wednesday, the 1st of May, 2024. Michael Thompson and I will be back tomorrow morning with the Thursday edition of Fear and Greed Business News. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your evening.